Our next speaker was, for me, the highlight of our 2018 Platinum trip to China. His name is David Li. He is the director of the Shenzhen Open Innovation Lab and has been contributing to open source software since 1990. He is a co-founder of Maker Collider, a platform to develop next-generation IoT from the Maker community. The Hacked Matter think tank, Jin Zhejiang, the first hackerspace in China to promote hacker-maker culture and open source hardware. And when I went with a number of you, 20 of you, to Shenzhen last year to see what was going on in the makerspace, it was an eye-opener. And as soon as David Li finished his keynote, I said, I need to take you. I need to bring you to LA. The rest of the community has to see what you're up to and what is going on. Please welcome to the stage an incredible thinker and doer, David Li.
Thank you. Thanks, Peter. It's a great pleasure to be here, and especially back in LA. So I was originally from Taiwan, came to LA in the 90s to go to college. Have been contributing to this free open source movement, and in 95, with the calling of the internet, this new force is going to change the world. Led the PhD program, starting the first company right here in LA. When the bubble burst, in 2002, I moved to China. Be there in China in 2002, starting to looking at what China is like, what China is, not just that New York Times headline. In 2010, starting the first makerspace in China. And in 2011, with two friends, we started a think tank to look at how bottom-up innovation look like, how people, everyday people on the street, when they can start to access technology, what that kind of innovation would look like. We started the journey in 2011, starting by a very interesting premises. Is the maker movement, this grassroots bottom-up innovation is booming. It's coming to China. I started the first makerspace. This is going to impact China. But as our research goes in, we realize maker movement is exactly the same thing. It's what drives China for the past 40 years. So smart hardware from the street. Our research concentrated on the city of Shenzhen. A lot of you might have heard of Shenzhen for the first time in 2010, and if you remember it, it's the straight shot of China, where people are jumping off the roof because they are making too many iPhones. But this is what Shenzhen looks like today. Every article, I cannot believe how many articles came up just at the end of 2018. Shenzhen, the hardware capital in the world. Shenzhen, the innovation hub of China. Right now it's a little bit of the growth. But it's really coming down to, when people write that, when I ask you what Shenzhen has innovated, what Shenzhen has invented, most of people cannot answer. And that's because Shenzhen is defying the narrative of the innovation doesn't come just in the beginning of original invention and discovery. The more important, and as Kai-Fu just said, is execution. Shenzhen has the best execution in the world. Let's look at this, and this is a great time to talk about this. Tim Cook just branding China for everything, like everything in America today. Let's just brand China. So Apple sales down. Chinese are not buying enough. China's economy is terrible. They are not buying enough Apple. They are not buying enough iPhone. That's why Apple is not doing well. But if you open the number, this is actually what it looked like. In 2017, the global mobile phone shipment, Apple is 14%, Samsung is 15%, and the rest of them, some of the logo you might not be familiar with. Huawei is recently in the news, Xiaomi. Everybody else, almost all of them are Chinese companies, and with the exception of Xiaomi, everybody else headquartered in Shenzhen. There's one city in China has 70% of the global market share for mobile phone. This is happening under Apple's nose. This is happening without any press release, except Huawei. But how did China come about? If you want to learn how did Shenzhen come about, if you want to learn how Chinese entrepreneurs think, you have to understand Shenzhen. So this is 1987. Shenzhen was designated as the first special economic zone in China. What is special economic zone? At the end of the 80s, Chinese government starting to feel communism is not going to work. So let's try something else. What do we try? Where do we try? We're not going to experiment with the real Chinese city. So they came down to the south of China, right across the border from Hong Kong, with 15 fishing village, with about 300,000 people. They built a wall, a physical wall around this place, and say, okay, well, inside this wall, everything goes. Outside this wall will still be communist. So here you go. Go crazy experiment. For the first 10 years, the Shenzhen experiment went well, and the prominent leader Deng Xiaoping came down to Shenzhen in 1992. And this is the model of Shenzhen, the second part, not the first part. To be rich is glorious. So how is that working out for Shenzhen? This is Shenzhen today. It's a metropolitan of 15 million people. In 1987, Shenzhen is 0.1% of the Hong Kong GDP. Last year, we are at $400 billion GDP, surpassed Hong Kong. And how did this come about? How did this 40 years of crazy growth and economic miracle came about? First, of course, the mass manufacturers starting to move into Shenzhen, the electronic production, the PC production, the low-cost production starting to come into Shenzhen and build up a manufacturer base in Shenzhen. But this is a traditional outsourcing story. But in the late 90s, Shenzhen and China starting to become well-off, and people starting to have disposable income. And when you have disposable income, you want entertainment. And in the late 90s, the entertainment of choice, DVD, pirated movie, pirated TV series, pirated music. But there's one problem with DVD. If you take a Chinese pirated DVD and stick it into your fancy Sony, this is what you get, cannot read. And by the end of 1990s, Shenzhen already have huge manufacturing power for electronics, with engineers, with designers. So, well, let's solve the problem. Let's make a DVD which reads everything. And this is starting to shoot off. This is starting to sell not just in China, but anywhere in the world where people has a little bit income, want some entertainment. So this is global. So this gives Shenzhen two things. First, there is a possibility to introduce our own product. The second, the Western market is not the only market. Everywhere else, this product serves the bottom of the pyramid, the bottom of the society. And market like this starting to form. This is the electronic market of Shenzhen. This is a fun place to be. We have a really fun time the whole afternoon there. Cannot get Peter out of there. And by 2002, opportunity hit where the global need, the global awareness of mobile phone starting to appear. And of course, remember this, in 2002, an uncontracted Nokia cost $800. If you don't live in a wealthy Western country, it's probably pretty much not affordable. But hey, we're in Shenzhen, we know how to make electronics. So we're starting to go crazy, starting to make mobile phone. And it's not just copy. Of course, there's a lot of copy, but that's an easy way to start. But when we're starting to achieve scale, people are starting to diverse. People are starting to figure out a new niche market to get into. In the middle of this, there's a 7-speaker mobile phone. It's as loud as a boombox. It's creating for one profession only, the construction worker. You will see everywhere in China. Loud enough music to cut through the noise of the workspace. And how did they do? 20 million units a year. And anything, so the rule of Shenzhen, anything can be mashed up with a mobile phone will be mashed up with a mobile phone. So that's a fidget spinner phone. And how to read this? So if we think about mobile market, is Nokia, is Moto in the 2000s. This is the big guys. This is the company who's going to dominate the world. But in their decision, if it's not going to be about 10 million units, it's not worth doing. Shenzhen comes out as we're not going to compete with this big guy head on. We're just going to take all the market the big guys cannot take care of. And very soon, this bottom market is starting to be large. This undiscovered opportunity is huge. By 2012, that blue segment is about 300 million units. It's a quarter of the global mobile shipment. And that caused the downfall of Nokia and Moto because the big ship, they have nowhere else to grow. So it's kind of interesting to think about this. This is 2019. Just roll back 10 years. If anyone's standing on this stage and say, okay, well, Nokia will go out of business in 10 years, and you guys will be thinking, Peter is crazy. Where did he find this lunatic? That's crazy talk, but in reality, 2012. And Shenzhen has been nice to some of our original inventors in Shenzhen. So the DVD Reads Everything company, now they own this Oppo, the number 4 mobile phone in the world. And they also own this, Vivo, the number 5 mobile phone in the world. And this is very funny, is this brand is practically never heard of in the Western countries. They are in Southeast Asia, in China, I think India. And they're actually the strongest growing brand in India. And that's another thing. The mobile technology company is no longer global. You can do well by going niche, serving a regional. This is another big company out of Shenzhen nobody ever heard of. It's called Techno. If you've been to Africa, you have seen them. But outside of Africa, nobody has seen it. Even though it's a Shenzhen company, I cannot even get their phone in Shenzhen. Techno is a 100 million unit mobile phone a year company. They are 42% of African market. This is the fastest mobile growing market. But entire continent of 1 billion people is still big. How about it's getting smaller? Wiko. How many people heard of this company? No French? Okay. Well, this is number 2 mobile phone in France. It's a 6-year-old company, and they surpassed Apple as number 2 in France 2 years ago. How do you beat Apple and Samsung in French market? Not by technology, but by being more French. So that's a strategy. And not even that big a company. I mean, the Shenzhen has this open system. Everybody can make a mobile phone. So this is our friend Silas in Lagos, Nigeria. Launching his own company 4 years ago. He's doing about 10,000 units right now, every year. But nice, good $1 million a year business in Lagos. And so just to have fun and just to prove how easy it is to make mobile phone in Shenzhen, this is a video with Wall Street Journal. They did their own Wall Street Journal 1 for $70 each, 20 units in 2 weeks. That's how easy it is. And really to think about what's happening in Shenzhen, it doesn't get explained by the narrative we have about innovation. You have to be in the cutting edge. You lead, you dominate. The problem is that domination doesn't last long. What happened in Shenzhen is best to be explained by this book, The Mass Flourishing. Huge amount of technology gets transferred into a region. The region has an opportunity to catch up. But just having the big company coming in, opening shop, people talk about my job, that's not enough. You need to have local dynamism, entrepreneurship. People want to grab onto the opportunity and say, okay, well, I can do this. I can make some money. I have the tenacity to make it happen. So Shenzhen is one of these places. In the past 40 years, this city of 15 million people, we registered 3 million companies. This is 4 in 1 people in Shenzhen is a boss. That's 4 in 1 person in Shenzhen is a CEO. So, well, Shenzhen probably not going to lose that many jobs when AI comes. We are all in the CEO column. So, what's to look at? What's the other thing to look at Shenzhen? Probably many people read this book, Innovator's Dilemma. Everybody likes to use the term disruptive innovations. But we don't really use the disruptive innovation the right way because we always just mean a disruptive inventions. Innovation has to be useful, has to have market, has to have value. An early beginner, you easy to overshoot the target. The newcomer will figure out some way to produce this cheaper, to discover a traditional non-use market. And this is exactly what happened with mobile phone. We did not try to fight Apple in the US. We go to Africa. We go to Southeast Asia. We go to rural China. And Shenzhen do this in the most open fashion. When you go to Shenzhen, you walk into the market, it's very easy to learn about what kind of product is popular. You're just standing on the top of this kind of shop, and then you hear at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, you just listen to who has the loudest rapping song for the tap. That's the duct tape rapping song is the song of money in Shenzhen. So you hear the loudest song, you go over there, you look at what they are doing, and then you figure out how you can do it yourself. And then everybody jump into the same market. And once you jump into the same market, the kind of division of labor will happen. People make every part. You can buy every part openly from different vendors. You can have your own smartwatch in a week. What's left is the figuring out what's my value, what's the value I'm going to deliver. Shenzhen free company from having to think about engineering and design. So much so, we have white label daily. You can just pick one of these, launch it in 2 weeks. And this is challenging the notion about technology innovations. When the rest of the world is still stuck at, if I want to do ICT, I need to engineer myself. I need to have owning all the IP. Guess what? The IP you are going to spend $2 million and 18 months to develop in the ICT product. I can buy it on the street of Shenzhen for $10. So this is one thing to keep in mind is the thinking about this not as a competition, but as an ecosystem which can help you to deliver what you need faster, cheaper, and will make your life easier. So what's the scale of Shenzhen? So 2 of the most important things when you want to build a hardware is my engineering. Shenzhen has 5,000 technical solution house, employ about 150,000 engineers. Shenzhen has 4,000 industrial design studio, employ about 130,000 industrial designers. These are not the people who's working in their own product competing with you. This is manufacture, design, engineering as a service. That coupled with a couple 100,000 factories. That's what makes Shenzhen works. Shenzhen become a very different way of working from traditional big brand, opaque supply chain. It's layer. From the bottom, every layer helping the layer above. MediaTek is what enabled the entire mobile phone. 10 years ago, MediaTek doesn't exist. Now MediaTek is the second biggest chipset provider for mobile phone. Every layer has their opportunity. Everybody do what they do the best and work with everybody else. There's no winner take all. There's only cooperations. So Shenzhen innovation is very strict. It's not about my long-term vision. It's really about how do I make a buck today. But in the open environment, in the open support system, it created an amazing result. good. Now this for the first time. How many people heard of this company? Anker. So you shop on Amazon. Have you shopped on Amazon for chargers? You probably run into this company. So this company is 5 years old. Started with $100,000 5 years ago. Last year, they have 1.2, 1.3 billion sales on Amazon. And what do they sell? Charger, cable, battery bank. And one thing they realized 5 years ago is if you look at the US market, if you lose your charger, going to Apple is $35. But going to some unnamed back of the truck eBay shop is $5. But coming from Shenzhen, we understand the 35 and the $5 come from the same place. And so brand promise, slap a logo on it, put it on Amazon, charge $15 for it, now you have a business. This is how Shenzhen thinks. And then, yeah, of course. Now, other than them, we have about 2,000 cross-border e-commerce. I think 70% of the Amazon third-party stationed in Shenzhen. So really looking at this is the small company just put in a PC on your TV, $10 million. Anything can be integrated, everything can be used or be integrated. So this is one of the cutest use. You all have fancy Apple Watch, right? But does your Apple Watch do this? This is mobile payment and allowance tracking for 5 years old. And I'm going to skip this one. Basically, facial recognition, toilet paper. So one thing to know about Shenzhen is Shenzhen makes ICT hardware commodities. If you think about ICT hardware, if you think about anything, you want to stick an internet connection, computation into it, think about this, someone already out there in Shenzhen probably finished 80% of what you need to do, and he's ready to partner. And really, Kai-Fu just said, we are really at a time where AI, artificial intelligence technology, they are becoming so common. Everybody can go online and learn about AI. Everybody can download open source AI. And now, with the understanding of Shenzhen, everybody can make an Echo. Everybody can make their own smart hardware. So just to see this, how easy it is, we have a group of kids who actually build these robots. Not this one. This is the fancy Swedish robots by a couple of PhD. And we just want to see how easy it is for a couple of kids. With the open source hardware, open source software, the accessibility into the China supply chain, be Taobao,
Hi, I'm David, and today I'm going to introduce about our robot, the Weeding Master.
They are 13 years old, so. It's a fun exercise for kids. Costs $2,000 for them to build this machine. So really to rethinking about where we are, technology continue to enable entrepreneurship, enable the dynamism. So this is a village in the middle of nowhere, China. Three guys 10 years ago discovered there's something called the e-commerce, and there's something called IKEA. And in their house, in their farmhouse, they started the factory in the backyard and started a business 10 years ago. This village of 50,000 people, Last year, they have a sales of about $1.2 billion out of this village, just furniture, flat pack furniture. And this is their logistics center right now, shipping out 35 tons of furniture a day. And this is one of the guy's story. I mean, born in 1988, graduated high school, went to work in the factory for 3 years. Don't like it, heard about the hometown has the e-commerce opportunity, come back home, invested $300 into the business, and this is his company today. So translated from RMB to US dollars, that's about $10 million. That's 2017. Last year, he did about $15 million in sales. And if you go to the village, there's 200 more like him. So technologies continue to enable this type of entrepreneurship in China. And this is their new city planning, which is nice. So really to think about is the entrepreneur who can actually leverage the global resource to solving the local problem. We are now having this unprecedented abundance of technologies, of knowledge, of productions. Entrepreneurs do well solving the local problem. This is Ghana startup. This is another Ghana startup doing the tractor for Uber. Ghana startup coming to China, spent 2 weeks getting the prototype ready. Kenyan startup launching the new headset, the coolest brand in Kenya today, building a $2 million a year company in 9 months. We work with Ethiopia. So really rethinking about this is what's happening in China. It's not just this headline innovation, headline breakthrough. It's really what's going on at the bottom side of China. People are excited. Entrepreneurship is everywhere. Opportunity is everywhere. And they are supported by this rapid advancement of technology. They don't see technology coming and say, okay, my God, it's going to take my job. They see technology coming and they ask the question, how do I make a buck with this technology? How do I make a buck with these new things? And when we have tens of millions of people thinking about this, this is what makes China economic works. It's not the headline innovations. So the latest stuff coming out of China, and this is something will be interesting to pay attention to. This is Clayton Christensen research. Just came out talking about the next wave of growth in electric vehicle. He's not talking about Tesla. He's not talking about BYD. He's talking about this.
1 million of these tiny EVs were sold in China last year, most in rural parts of the country. Officially, they're called LSEVs, or low-speed electric vehicles, for obvious reasons. But that's even better, according to mini car owners like Ms. Li.
So you can see the whole thing on Wall Street Journal. So this is 2 provinces in China. That's their population. So give or take a little bit more than California. So what's the problem to solve? They have poor farmer who's still doing this in the dead of the winter. And they have a lot of this. Golf cart company. So let's put an enclosure around golf cart. Let's get started. And this is what they are making. And now, as the industry grows, they're starting to have more fun. So this is my favorite. All kind of miniature version of everything. You want Bugatti? We have a miniature version of it. You want the electric version of the Mercedes SUV? Got it. Hammer? Got it. What happened? Making electric car is easy. If you're starting to think golf car rather than Tesla, making an electric car, it's a car. It gets you from point A to point B. It doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't have to be $70,000. So the golf car company jump into the industry. They're starting to making this car. Their volume goes up. Every supply chain catch up. So now all you have to do is put a motor, put some battery, put a steering system. Now you have a car. And this is the integrated motor controller. with controller and motors, and that's all you need. And now this is their latest iteration. Some of them starting to look like real car, with a price tag of $2,000. And this is their factories. So we sent one of our African partners go over there to check it out. So the factory was built in 9 months with 300,000 units a year production. And so my friend went there. When I was touring there, I was touring with their chief engineers. This 62-year-old lady, we are driving electric cars through the factories. And she's complaining that building electric car is so boring. I've been automobile engineer for 40 years. This electric car thing is boring. The peasant can do it. But one good thing is they now have free times. I can go home and cook for my grandson. And so just for the reference, that's exactly the same unit number as Tesla in Fremont. So in summary, if we're really thinking about the coming power of AI, of China, it's really not about a competition between US and China. It's about artificial intelligence come out of here, the execution done in China. But when it's done in China, it's not exclusive. It's pretty open cooperation. And how this is going to enable more people around the world to do more things. So with that, we ended this call with Arado. Many small people in many small places doing small things can change the world. Thank you.